I think we need to click Got It now, Justine, and then we'll be live and exclusive on the Wheel Talk Live podcast. How are you doing, Justine? It's
I'm not too bad.
pleasure to have you on. This is the first, I think, in-person interview where we've sort of recorded ourselves on a computer, but it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Landlady of the legendary pub that is the Royal Dyche. How are you doing today? You all right?
I'm good, yeah. It's really nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. I always like to, start at the very beginning with my guests, like most podcasters, and say like where your sort of involvement and love for Burnley began before you even obviously became a Publican sort of thing.
So my story began with my granddad. He's a massive Burnley supporter, has been all his life since he's been a young boy. And pretty much as soon as I was born, I were in Burnley kits. There's all sorts of photos of things of me as a child, like big Burnley shirts, things like that. My granddad first took me on the long side. I don't really remember much about it. I was only maybe 2-3-year-old, probably just about walking. My granddad took me on my first game then. And yeah, I've been claret mad ever since.
Can you remember sort of the first emotions you experienced when going on the turf? Because I remember like a quote from Bobby Robson before he died that, you gripped with the emotion of it before you can even sort of do a thing about you're automatically a football fan as sort of soon as you step on the terraces. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, I think because I was so young, it kind of grew with me, and you get a better understanding, especially when you're a young child and you're into football anyway, and it's one of the growing up as a kid, you were always playing out in the back streets, and like I were into football when I was a young kid. I played for the boys team at primary school, and I was football mad, so not just watching it, playing it as well, and I loved spending time with my grandparents. I used to go on with my nana as well. So my granddad was the kind of the one who got me into it, but it was my nana that I had the season ticket with. And I just used to love the Saturday routine of like, obviously back then as well, we were in lower leagues, so it was always a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. So
traditional, that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly, traditional football. And it kind of the love grew. I played for Burnley Girls as well as a youngster up until probably the age of 17, from like the age of 9 up to 17. So football and Burnley was a huge part of my life growing up as a girl. And you just get that addiction of and that community feel as well, which you get more of an understanding the older you get of what it actually means and how important something like that is in your life.
Compared to now, how would you say growing up as a female football supporter was? Like, was there a lot less acceptance, or was it equal? Or, you mentioned they're playing in boys' teams. Is that something you had to do for a while, or?
Yes, I'd say watching football, I always felt as an equal. I never really thought anything of that sexism until probably I hit teenagers. And then I'd say, primary school, we never had a girls' team, but it was kind of lack of interest as well. It wasn't just we're not having a girls' team. It was there wasn't enough girls interested. So it was hard to build a team. I got to high school and college, and like there was a lot more girls, like obviously a wider audience, more girls into football. And obviously, like my idol back then was Rachel Brown-Finnis. So watching that was all. I'd feel like the heroes grew a lot more, and that's how more girls got into football. I mean, you only see the success now of the England women's team, and that's influencing so many young girls now to get into football. And it is something that's like encouraging and a lot more common now. And it's good to see the money being put into it as well, because that's one thing that we did lack, was the money and the funding. Like our ownership now, it's nice to see 100%. Them putting more like time and money into the women's team, and that's going to create more opportunities. So it is really good to see. And never in my lifetime did I think that Burnley women were going to be playing on turf more.
Class.
And even like training, like we when I was a young girl, we trained at Gothorpe. But obviously the facilities were nowhere near as good as they are now. But
porta cabins and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just it was fine for us to train at Gothorpe because it wasn't like world class facilities. But now, obviously they've integrated the women's into Barnfield as well. So it's just really positive, and it's good to see. Don't get me wrong, I look at it and think I'm jealous because I'd loved that opportunity when I was a young girl, but I feel that it's good now that the younger generation are getting those opportunities.
How important is it, would you say, as a female footballer or a female sports fan, to have these idols, like you say, Rachel Brown-Finnis, the real trailblazers to look up to sort of thing? And it's growing more and more, which is good. This was a clear question later down the line, but I thought about asking it now, So.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Obviously, I feel like the more heroes you can have, the wider audience of girls you're going to influence. I feel like it's really important for the women's games. I feel like if they don't have these role models, they're not going to want to play football, and the sport isn't going to grow. Like the women's football game is not going to grow as well as it should or can do without these influences.
And obviously we're in the pub today. What's your earliest memories of going to the pub and sort of the overall match day experience and sort of like the social sort of elements you pick up as a youngster? Every time I go into the pub, because I think it helps because I don't drink as well. You're always watching the different people. I love people watching the different stories. The man sat at the bar on his own, probably had one too many, or the family that's just coming in before the match and things like that. I really do feel like socially it's a good sort of evolution as you grow up into obviously adulthood that we are now. Yeah.
I feel like here is definitely the place to come if you want to people watch. We have so many fantastic people and characters that come in here. We're such like a diverse community base 100%. As well, which that's something I'm very proud of, that I've built up something like that. When I first came into this pub, it wasn't like that. Growing up, I wouldn't say that the pub and football for me growing up was something that I did mix. Because obviously I went to the football with my granddad. He wasn't a massive drinker. If we got to the stadiums early, we'd be walking around looking at the stadiums, and my granddad didn't drive, so we'd go with one of his friends and their daughter as well, so we'd go all together and travel, and it was mainly like spending time around the grounds and in the stadium for me. So it was always like that for me, it built my love even more. The pub game for me, it was a blinder. It wasn't something that I was ever going to go into.
Fair enough.
So growing up, it wasn't a thing in my life. Obviously, you hit a certain age and college, university, it comes part of more. It was integrated into my life through then. But yeah, here is definitely the place people watch.
Why do you think it's so ingrained in British football culture? You don't always get it in other countries. Like they maybe drink on the streets or do like parties and stuff with flares or things like that, but this seems to be our fingers sort of in our sort of football ecosystem sort of thing. Go to the pub on a match day with your family, whether it be for food or a few pints, and then afterwards.
Yeah, I feel like it's a massive part of British culture. So because it's a massive part of British culture, that's why it's like, because football became a massive part of British culture as well. It's like the two kind of like connected. But yeah, so many people have that match day routine. It's probably stemmed from like maybe like the 70s and 80s of going down to your local boozer and getting a pint and then going on to the football. And obviously things are a bit more like sketchy then as well with football, because you have the football violence as well. So that was thrown in there. But I feel like it's traditions and routines that are passed down through generations as well. So we have like a lot of we always get like a new crowd of 18-year-olds, that have just turned 18.
Stone Island Club in
and it's like you can see the excitement of coming to the pub and like like having that pint, and it's kind of like it's just a part of British culture.
And as well, I think places like this, obviously this podcast talks about mental health and positive well-being as well. These kind of environments are a massive social outlet for people in reducing isolation and things like that. Can you talk about the benefits of these places right across the country? And obviously, you probably do more work for people on that score than you actually probably realise, like the social aspect.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say I probably do a lot more than I do realise. And that's mainly because people have been telling me a lot more recently. So I feel really proud that I have built this community hub. I try and do as many different events as possible. I mean, I had a Burns night. We celebrated Burns night for the first time. It's a poetry, like Robert Burns.
Fair enough. I wondered what you're on about then.
No. So it's a Scottish tradition, and it's celebrating Scottish poet, really famous Scottish poet. So it's kind of like celebrating his life and his dedication to poetry. Now, if somebody told me, so we'll call it the Prinny Royal, because that's what everybody still
100%.
calls it. With the Royal Dyche, but everyone still calls it the Prinny Royal. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I would be hosting a poetry night in the Prinny Royal and it would have gone down as such a fantastic, inclusive event, I'd have laughed.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just a really proud thing that there was people on that night that were sharing. It was so diverse as well, the different poets that we had, and it's such a proud feeling for me that I can put these events on in confidence, knowing that they feel safe in this venue. That was a massive thing for me.
Class, the
safety of the customers, and that they actually enjoyed it and felt welcoming.
Yeah.
And people coming up to me and telling me these things, and for me, it would just be putting an event on, and like I always do a bit of free food as well.
Brilliant.
I just feel like, exactly, it's just like a nice little sweetener. But I try and celebrate and be inclusive as much as I can. So obviously we'll do St George's Day, St Patrick's Day. So this Scottish Tradition Burns Night was something I thought, well, what about something for the Scottish community?
Yeah, because it's, like you say, even we're talking off camera, weren't we? It's vital to maintain traditions, but it's important to move with the times and evolve as well. Like you say, create that diverse sort of culture for every, like, constantly evolving sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice as well because we have so many regulars. So at the end of this month, I've got a customer awards night.
Oh yeah, I saw my friend Mick Trigg was on one of the awards for that.
Yeah, funniest dancer.
Yeah,
I've got a good video, Mick Trigg. I'll show you that later.
Oh, fair enough.
But for me as well, I don't think I ever realised how many regulars I had until I did this awards. It was like 80 people that I know first and last name basis, and then like everybody knows each other, and it's banter and it's such good fun. And for me, just putting on something so simple like that, it's just bringing us all together as a big group. I mean, everybody on that list they're so different in personalities and people, ages, interests. And I'm just really proud that all those people can come together, and we do have that community feel, and it is inclusive. And like you said, touching up on mental health, so I've actually sent a message out to Casual Minds Matter.
Yeah, great organisation.
And I've actually said, do you mind? I'm still waiting to hear for a reply, but I've said, do you mind if I do get some charity buckets out and raise money on? But I just feel every time we do these events, because they're free events, I feel like I'd like to give back to a local charity as well, and just get some buckets out. And for us putting on this free event, obviously I'm more than happy with the money we make over the bar, but I'm happy for a local charity, a brilliant charity, to get something out of it as well and support them.
It's definitely about coming together in it, and you've created a beautiful thing here, But from the very start, can you talk about how it sort of came about and how you became sort of owner / started in this place? First, did you run it on behalf of somebody else at first? Was it in 2013 that we're reading?
So 2013, I'd just done my second year of university. So I went to UCLan doing sports coaching.
Fair enough.
The dream, as you say, was to be a PE teacher.
Yeah.
I laugh and call it that now, the dream, because obviously when you see what it entails and I was still umming and ahhing whether it was for me. But obviously when you're young, you're trying to follow a path. Everybody's trying to follow a path and figure things out. But so I'd just done my second year of uni. It was summer. I was I was part-time employed at an engineering company. And I got a phone call off my dad. Now my dad is one of them, I will always ring him. He never rings me. And I'm looking thinking, why is my dad ringing me? So I went out and answered the phone. He said, I've got a pub. I said, what do you mean you've got a pub? He said, I've got us a pub. I said, what do you mean you've got us a pub? And he said, well, my friend, he needs someone to lease it. And I said that we'd do it. So, hang on. What do you mean? Yeah, it's the. I said, which one for a start? He said, it's the Princess Royal. And I instantly put the phone down. Not a chance. So the background to that is that my dad once helped one of his friends with their pub. And he went in, put a bit of money in. He got me behind the bar. He got a lot of trust with the bar staff as well, because he said that's where it starts with a pub. You've got to have good staff. He did really well, and he kind of got a taste for it. Now after that fizzled out, I carried on doing bar work, and he always said I just want to get a pub for me and my friends to go to. So he wanted to build a community for his friends. So that's where it stemmed from. It was just my dad wanting a pub for his friends to drink in. So that was just. So anyway, he called me back straight away and he said, don't put the phone down, just come and have a look at the place. So I went and had a look, and it were like a blank canvas. It were very grey. They were like all the walls were grey, the seating was grey, the carpet was grey. It was very dull, but you could see the potential. And for me, I knew after my final year of uni, so I wanted to go travelling before I went to uni, but the government were putting up uni fees. They were tripling them.
Fair enough.
So I thought, right, I'll go to uni now, take a gap year before I do my PGCE, try and figure my stuff out, what level I want to teach at, and then that's that. So I thought, I just looked at it and thought, great money to save for travelling if it does all right. But you could see the potential. I mean, the beer garden, it was big, but it didn't look as nice as it did now. But you think in a beer garden in summer, you know that people will come out just for the sunshine, regardless of what your beer garden looks like. You'll still get the people. Some people in Burnley coming out to it.
100%.
So it kind of stemmed from there. Initially, I said to my dad, right, I'll do 12 months, and then I'm going travelling. So right, no problem. So I did the 12 months. I did my final year of uni while I was trying to run this pub, while I was kind of still working at the engineering company. And then 6 months in, I started spotting things that had my name on it. And my dad was like bending the rules a little bit. And I was like, right, you could either take this pub on now, Dad, or you back off, you let me set up a limited company, and I'll do it legit.
Class.
And I said, I'll only be travelling for a month, because I need to figure out what if I don't like travelling. I've never been travelling for. I said, I'll just do a month. I'll do a month in Thailand, and we'll see how that goes. And then just doing that time away in town, I thought, do you know what? I'll do another year. Same again.
Yeah.
Come back, do another year. We're now in like 2015 now, and I'm going away for 6 months. And when I'd gone away for that 6 months, that was kind of like the realisation.
Yeah.
So I got a manager in. They helped my dad with things. And that was kind of like the realisation that I don't want to teach. I want to make a go of things with this pub.
Yeah. Why would you say this place has gripped you so much? Why is it so close to your heart? Is it something that just happens without you even realising? Or like you say, you look around you see things with your name on it, then it becomes a part of you slowly but surely, doesn't it?
Yeah, so setting up a limited company was a big eye-opener for me. So at school, you don't really get taught about business.
No, 100%.
And VAT, I had no idea what VAT was.
Paying for water and things like that.
I remember going to my first accountancy meeting, and my dad came as well, and he set me up with this accountant, and it was someone that he'd not used. He said, I want you to go with this lady, she seems really good, and this company in Burnley, just go with them and see what you think. Anyway, I remember sitting in the meeting, and her and my dad were having a conversation back and forth, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I had to stop my dad coming to the meetings because I weren't learning anything.
Yeah.
So kind of like, because same like you said, when you have your name on something, you take pride. Like I'm really, I take a lot of great pride in this pub. So say like a toilet door's not working, like the lock's not working, that bothers me. That's my pub. So I think, well, if that lock's broken, it reflects on me.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that earlier with the door, weren't we? Like, you got that fixed, so that can be flat and things like that.
Yeah. So I always have like a list of things. Like obviously we're a busy pub and it's an old building, so I'm all about obviously fixing the issues and stuff. And I just take pride in it. And it's kind of just stemmed from there, having my name on something. And my dad's friends, I love my dad's friends to bits, and same with mine. We're both kind of similar in our personalities, where we have these big groups of friends, and we're very chatty, social people, myself and my dad. So when the pub first came, like obviously first took the pub on, my friends started coming here, his friends started coming in, it kind of grew from there. So something that we thought were just going to be our friends drinking there, kind of snowballed, and now I'm like, well, people are kind of like what we're doing. And going away traveling was, what would I want a pub to be like? So it was all about, if I walk into a pub, what do I want it to look like? What do I want it to smell like? Like, they're key things for me, because I think if you go in somewhere and it doesn't smell particularly nice, you don't want to stay there.
Smells of piss or something like that.
Just like, it doesn't stay like, you just, so I'm all like looking at what would I want. So that was kind of how it like stemmed.
That's something I've noticed from obviously being inside today. Obviously, I regularly come here, but it's that part that I go outside. There's a lot of colour in this place, both on the ceilings and also on the walls with the murals outside. Is that a conscious decision to make it bright and bubbly as soon as you walk in here, like you say?
So when I first came in the pub, they already had one of the Burnley badges that was already there, and on the left-hand side was an England badge. So that was kind of it. And because we were the Princess Royal, so when I first came into the pub, it was hard to find an identity. Next door was a turf, so I was very like skeptical about putting Burnley things up, especially plus I didn't know how long I was going to be here. So initially, and I think when I went traveling and came back, little things started going up, but it wasn't until I bought the pub that's when things really snowballed and took off. Because when you rent in a building, it's just like renting a house.
Fair enough.
You don't really want to spend money on that house. You're reluctant. You do want to make it look nice and stuff, but it was very basic what I spent until I bought it, and then I did start putting all the money back in. So even now, I just had the bar redone as well. So my wife laughs at me because I keep saying, I'm just going to do one more thing, and then I'm going to start reaping the rewards, because I've been here 10 years. And I just keep putting all the money back into the business.
That's what it's about.
Because I want it to do well, but I've said to her, I will get to a point where I'm happy with things, and it's grown as much as it can, and then I will reap the rewards. But right now, now's the time. We're busy. I want it to grow. And a couple of the shirts, I think I started in the darts room actually. So a couple of shirts of mine from when I was a kid. So my granddad had this box, so they went up. And then someone came in and went, "Oh, they're nice. Will you put my shirt up?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." Someone else, "Will you put my shirt up?" And then someone dropped off 10 shirts and was like, "Will you do this?" And then I asked people at the club, and I said, "Look, if there's anything lying around that's going to get thrown out, bring it here." And I'll message Russell and say, "Russell, if there's anything, let me know, and I'll put it up." So like these lights, the visiting team, the home team, are the original lights from the cricket field stand.
all this is a great sort of design, but obviously it comes with a lot of work, and that sort of segues into my next question. Can you talk about the day-to-day challenges of running a pub and getting all these ideas from on paper to obviously to fruition? I don't even know if that's the correct terminology, but you get what I mean.
So I love a list.
Yeah.
I am a list writer, so I can sleep at night, because it is a 24-hour thing. So I can sleep at night. I'll write a list of my day for the next day, and then that's out of my head. I don't need to think about that. And I'll also have a list of like repairs, things that I need to do, and just in general, like up in the office, like to do this month's to-do list. And I just see it as a challenge. And I look at that list and I think, right, I'm going to box all that off today. Or I look at the list and think, right, I'm going to box that off. And my dad was actually, he had his own pallet business. So at 13-year-old, you know those wooden pallets that you get? My dad had his own pallet business. So at 13-year-old, I had a hammer in my hand, hammering pallets. So I kind of like got like pretty hands-on from a young age. And then being here after like 12 months, it's an old building. Something always breaks. Like this morning, the airboard blew over yesterday and broke. So I've come in this morning. I know how to use a drill now. So I'm there drilling in. But same like all the pictures, I've put them all up. I know how to use drill and how to like what drill bits to put in, like certain brick and wood. And it's just things that I've picked up over time. And now, like I said, I take pride in doing these repairs because I want things like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. It took me a long time to accept that a pub this busy can't be perfect.
No,
I'm always going to have like scratches and bumps, and
that's a part of the appealing to it. A bit old
exactly.
School.
It took me a while to just accept that. But yeah, it is about taking pride, and I'd say I just developed that just over time, and like my dad having a bit of an influence in that as well, and showing me how to use a drill, and like obviously putting a hammer in my hand from 13-year-old. So
kudos to you, Dad.
Pretty hands-on with the DIY, and he had me painting. Like he was renovating one of his houses, so like painting from a young age as well. And just like these little things that you pick up over time. Yeah. For me, it's a big thing because I save a lot of money.
Yeah,
cost me a fortune to have a handyman here.
Yeah. How do you order sort of alcohol from a brewery or places like that? What goes into sort of purchasing this various obviously wine, spirits, or whatever else you have here? Obviously, I don't drink, so you could give me a bit more insight into that.
So when I didn't own the building, I used to lease it off a man called Tex Grogan. So brilliant man. And it was I had to buy the beer through him, like beer. I think it was just like snacks that we could get from Booker.
Yeah.
So I'd always go up to his office, put the beer order in, exchange like money from the week before, and it was very straightforward. I'd have contact with the local reps because he gave me quite a bit of control over products on the bar, which were nice. It wasn't like a big brewery. I could go and talk to him if I weren't happy with something, I wanted to change something. It was always open for discussion. Yeah. I remember having a discussion about, I think I had Strongbow on, and I wanted dark fruit as well. And he was like, not two ciders. Now, honestly, you just trust me. Give me a chance. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
You clean up.
Yeah, and anyway, and it worked. And it was kind of like, I was always up for trying new things. And I felt like if it didn't work, I could just change it back anyway.
Yeah.
But it was very straightforward dealing with him to begin with. Like, obviously, when he owned the pub, and then obviously I bought the pub off him. And I already had a bit of a rapport with the reps anyway. So I sat down, renegotiated contracts, pricing. And now I just put a beer order in every Monday. So before I used to have to ring up. Now times have changed. I literally sit on my laptop every Monday. I'll have 4 websites up, 2 breweries, 2 wholesalers, order whoever's cheapest, and it just works like that now. So it's good now that I've got a lot more control over where I'm buying from. I'm sourcing it as cheap as possible because for me, I feel like we are a pretty cheap pub.
Yeah, 100%.
Foster's $2.80. I think the most expensive lager's $4.50, which is Moretti and Madrian. That's because I work hard on a Monday trying to make sure that I'm securing the cheapest possible just so I can keep prices down.
You mentioned there about rapport. One thing I always notice when I come to this place is your staff are really happy and they want to be here and they want to work for you and work with you. It's a bit like football management in a way, I think, maintaining a sort of your kind of happy dressing room. Can you talk about the importance of having a good sort of rapport with the brewery and with your staff and making people want to come to work? Because I think that's important, isn't it? Particularly with my coaching, I could work at the leisure box for 12 hours and not feel tired whatsoever, because if you love what you do, then it sort of comes through, doesn't it?
Yeah, my days just, they go by so quickly and I wonder where the day's gone half the time. Same because I enjoy it. So for me, I enjoy what I do. I feel like that reflects on my staff as well. Like I want them to enjoy what they do. So we have, I probably say like maybe a staff meeting once or twice a month. Sorry, once every month or 2. I've started doing one-to-ones with my staff as well.
That's class.
So I'll take them out food. We'll pick a venue in Burnley. So I love supporting the local community as well. So we'll pick like maybe Continentals, Palazzo, Cork House. Like these are some of the venues that I love in the area. Ellis's.
Yeah.
So we'll go and have these. We'll go and have a one-to-one meeting. So I feel it's good because my staff feel like they're getting a treat.
Yeah.
I'm actually making sure that I'm sitting down and eating something, and I'm not just rushing my day. I'm terrible for that. Not like planning my food into my day because I'm so busy. So I feel like it's a bit of a win-win, and it's good because we can sit down. I can talk about what they're happy with, what they're not happy with, what I think the strengths are, the weaknesses, and how we can progress as like individuals. And then we have our monthly staff meetings, how we can progress as a team.
Yeah.
So I like to have like a good communication with my staff. So I'll always say to them, look, if there's something wrong, ring me. Like you can ring me whatever time. If I can answer, I'll always answer. I'll never ignore my staff. And I just feel like it's like treating them as well now because when I first took on the pub, I was like 21, so I'm 32 now. So a lot of the staff that I had then was older than me, whereas now they're like younger than me. So it's like treating them as if like they're kids, and like just like being that mother that's looking like that second mum that's looking out for them. And I want all my staff to do well. So recently, two of my staff members have left. But I still want them to do well in whatever they do next. So I've done them both really good references, and like I'll help them out still. And I've always said my office door is always open if you ever want to chat. And I want to see you on the other side of the bar, which is nice as well. And you can come and see, and there's no bad blood. And it's all about if I'm happy at work, I want my staff to be happy. I want to have that feeling reflected. And I feel like if you've got a well-oiled team, like on a match day, our match day routine, we get complimented all the time about that. We're very like precise on match days. You could be 4 deep at the bar and you'd be served in 10 minutes because all my staff, they're grafters. 100%. And it is stressful, and I appreciate my staff so much. So they are paid extra on a match day as well because it's stressful, and and I understand it is graft. And when we have Rady's burger van at the side, the little deal is that the staff get free food. So that is a little. It's just like having these little incentives for your staff. So we do 2 socials a year as well, Christmas and end of season, because we know it's stressful times done. I say stressful, it's still stressful over summer because we're really busy when the weather's good. But it's just like bringing us all together with that. We've got a good rapport because we do socialise as a team a couple of times a year.
That's what I wish I could pull up a pint of free
Get
food.
You on the doors, Joe,
Well, I'll be the doorman. But that's one thing I always notice about this place. It's so unique, and the people that it attracts as well from all over the world. You've got Helmand fans, you've got JJ Watt, you've got Jordan North doing a DJ set, you've got Russell coming in the other day, who's a great man as well. Why do you think these people are so sort of drawn to this? And obviously, we'll get on to the great man himself that is Sean after that.
Honestly, I still pinch myself. I'm still asking myself those questions. My wife, she's always on me saying, you don't realise how well you've done. She just said she's like, I'm just really coy about it because I'm still like, I still look at this thing and I just pull pints.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So that's something I'm still getting used to. The JJ Watt scenario was mind blowing. So I remember getting the phone call from his media team. So me and one of the bar staff. So the canal at the side of the pub will litter pick. It doesn't really get covered by the council, so I don't mind. I'm really proud about the area as well, so I don't want the area to look scruffy. I were really excited about the Town's Turf project because the new paving.
Taking the piss at the moment, though.
Yeah, I know it. I'll leave that for another day. It looks good. So we were litter picking at the side. I get a phone call and he's like, "Oh yeah, JJ, what's coming?" I said, "Oh, brilliant! I heard a rumour you were coming tomorrow." He went, "No, we want to come now." And I went, "What, right now?"
Whoa.
And I were in my gym stuff. We're there litter picking at the side. There's a punk band on in the beer garden. It's a bank holiday. It was a bank holiday in May. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you can come now. As soon as the phone went down, I was like, right, rushing around like mad. I was stressed. I were in my gym stuff as well. So similar, I've been to the gym this morning. Similar now, so hair slapped back. And I was like, normally when I know people are coming, I'll try and if I know there's going to be pictures and things like that, I think I'll try and make an effort because it's going to go on social media. And no girl wants to have greasy hair and be sweaty on social media unless she plays sport.
I don't have that problem.
So and when him and is it Kiara?
I don't know how to pronounce that. What's the different name? Not good with spelling.
She was absolutely lovely, and she came with a friend as well who was really lovely, and they were so complimenting the pub. Now I was on edge because it's bank holiday, it's busy in Burnley, we have a lot of colourful characters, and I'm thinking there's a couple of these Americans have never seen anything like this before, and first impressions are big for me. And because I knew I'd litter picked on the canal, it was a really nice day. I'd walked him round. I took him on the side where the grass area was. There was nobody up there, so we got a good chat up there. And I said, oh, they asked what it was. I said, it's a canal. And he said, what do you mean? So I took him up. It was a beautiful day. The mile straight looked incredible. And they were there filming it all. And they were blown away by it. And I asked him, are you going on the parade bus? And he said, yeah. I said, well, you'll come under here. And I said, now you know what's up here. And they stood at the top on the bridge and we could see Turf Moor. Yeah. So that was just like a really, for someone who's just invested into the club, I thought that was like a really nice thing for him to see as well.
That's the thing with these people. You build yourself up a picture of what they are in your head. But when you think about it, Sean Dyche, Jordan North, who's also a good lad, they're just normal people, aren't they? They want you to. He probably appreciated the fact that you took him on the canal and sort of went, "Oh my God, JJ, nice to meet you." You know what I mean? You sort of treat him sort of how you would like, rather than being overawed.
I'd never heard of him before, and I have a guy who comes in the pub called Ty, and he's actually from New York.
Yeah.
So he was filling me in on all these details. He's like, you don't realise how huge this guy is.
I didn't know either.
No. And I started, like, obviously when I knew that he were going to come in, that's why I was panicking so much, because somebody had already been in my ear building up this picture of how big of a deal this guy was. And when I met him, he was so down to earth. And I mean, Jordan, I once gave him a lift home on Boxing Day. They were trying to get a taxi outside, and I was actually leaving at the time. I said, "Oh, where do you want dropping? Like, I'll take you if you want." And funnily enough, it was actually on my way home, so it wasn't. It was no big deal. And he was just really thankful for something that didn't really affect anything I was doing. And since then, he's kind of he's popped in a lot more. And when he did that set, that was just a spur of the moment thing. So I wrote a cheeky tweet saying, "Get you in for a set," just joking around. And he came in after the game, and I was like, "Look," I said, if you want to go on, by all means, have you got your USB? He said, "I've got my USB." I said, "Well, if you want to go on the decks, I'll get you on. But if you don't," I said, "you and your family, I'll get you up with some drinks. We'll get you on stage and just enjoy the moment." We've just been promoted.
That's class.
Well, not promoted, but it was our last game, promotion party vibes. And I just said, "Look, you don't have to do anything." He went, "No, I want to do it." I was like, "Really?" I said, "I'll just sort." I said, "What do you want?" He went, "I don't want anything." I said, "Well, how about I sort you and all your family for drinks the time that you're here?"
I bet he said that were a deal breaker anyway.
And that's what I mean. So he was there on the Benny Bombs and pints of Guinness, and his brother's really nice as well. And it was just such a nice atmosphere. But same again, I said, "Look, so I'm going to get my doorman to escort you to the stage." And he was looking at me. I said, "It's not because it's like that." I said, "It's just really busy." And I think when he'd initially agreed to yes, I'll DJ, I don't think he realised how busy he was. So his brother was saying to me that sometimes he gets a bit nervous, because normally when you're in a Radio 1 studio, it's just you. And I feel like when you're kind of blown away, aren't you? When you're not used to doing, even I get nervous.
Even on camera right now, you find yourself.
Yeah, I'm a bit fidgety and I get nervous and stuff. But no, he was really down to earth, and it's just all the people that I've had. I even had Dean Marnie down here during COVID doing Premier League productions, and when Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, that was mind-blowing for me. I knew for a week and I had to keep it quiet.
You went on Sky Sports, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was the Friday night build-up for the City game, and even that, I was just like, it just blew my mind. BBC Sport have been in touch recently. They want to do a little mini episode and they used Tony Bellew for Everton. So I was like, oh, why are you using me for Burnley? Surely
that's who you
why
are.
Why are you not using Jordan North, or why there's bigger characters than me that support Burnley? But they just said that obviously you've got to walk past the Royal Dyche to get here, and he said it's a big thing for the club and the town, and they want to use that. So it's like I said, still getting used to it.
Pinch me sort of moment. I didn't necessarily want to solely focus on the name Royal Dyche, so I wanted to sort of go into everything first and foremost. But now we've got into that segment. Can you talk about the great man itself and the fact that he came down to the pub once? Obviously, he unfortunately left Burnley on that very sad day a couple of years back now.
So with Sean, he came in, I think it was 2012 October, he was manager. So when I took the pub on was June 2013. So I got a season ticket that season. I'd not been on the turf probably maybe 3 or 4 seasons just because of work. It was getting difficult having a Saturday job working behind bars as well. And Tuesday night I used to work at Ends Insurance. So at that point in my life, I stopped. I'd go on as and when I could, but I stopped being a season ticket holder. So as soon as I got the pub, I was like, right, I'm back. I'm back now. So I thought I'm going to be here anyway for match days. We saw how quiet it was. I thought, right, well, season ticket makes sense, and it kind of worked. And I feel like because I was here at the pub, and because obviously the football was a big thing then as well, it was the bread and butter and what kept the pub going at the time. So depending how well Burnley did, depended how trade was here. Sometimes it's still the same now. I mean, we beat Sheffield United 5-0. The atmosphere was electric in here. We draw 2-2 with Fulham. Everyone's a bit down because we play so well. And Saturday was really quiet. So you kind of watching for other reasons, but you see. I feel like I've been close to watching Sean's career just because I've been like running this pub. So nothing really happened the first couple of years. Just getting my head down, trying to do what I'm doing, and then Sean got us promoted. That was the same again, brilliant. We had the parade and but it wasn't nowhere near the scale it is now. So I put an A-board. Well, my manager wrote an A-board saying Sean Dyche drinks here for free, and that was when he got us promoted. We went back down, went back up. And he kept us in that year, so that everyone was like, wow, this is incredible. This man's worked miracles. We've 100%. No business being in the Premier League, and he's kept us there a second year.
On that budget as well at the time.
Yeah, so my manager at the time, JD, and she was a massive Burnley fan as well. So we buzzed off the football together. So she said, do you mind if I write this? I went, go on, what you writing? She went, Sean Dyche drinks here for free. She went, he won't come in, but can I write it anyway? I said, believe if he did come in, it'd be brilliant. Put it out there. Sky and BT Sport were all over it. And I was like, wow, we had all this media from just a simple thing like a chalkboard. It's not cost us anything to do, and it's gone viral, and this is the most publicity we've ever had. That's something so simple. So the following year, it's like, right, what can we do this year? So it was like November, we were 4th in the Prem table. What can we do? So I was like, do you know what, Sean, get us into, at first it was going to be the Champions League, get us into the Champions League and we'll rename this pub the Dyche. Luckily I changed my mind last minute and said, Sean, get us into Europe and we'll name this pub the Dyche. So same again, Sky and BT come around, a couple of local bits, but nothing major. Everyone's laughing it up. It's a big joke. And it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like, you'll remember that year as well.
100%.
Like, I mean, you look at Aston Villa now. Look at Aston Villa. Are they? You don't know. Like, no, even now you think, I think they're going to dip
up in the air.
But then you think, no, Aston Villa are going to get Champions League football, and that was like something that like we looked at, and think, no, they won't get Europe. We'll hit Christmas and we'll start dipping down, but at least we're going to stay in for another year because of how well we're doing. And it kind of got to March, and more media jumped on it and was like, this pub said this, and everyone would come around going, are you actually going to do it? I was like, I don't know, because I didn't own the pub either. And I rang my landlord and was like, if this comes true, can I do it? And he said, well, yeah, as long as you pay for the signage. You can do what you want. It's very simple. There's no legal process. And yeah, the next thing we qualified because that 7th spot opened up because a couple more teams won the cups. And do you know what? Funnily enough, I think Man City, they either won the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup that year.
I think so.
Now, the funny thing is, Vincent Kompany was the captain of that team. So last year when I met Vincent Kompany and we were chatting about the pub and stuff, and he said, don't change the pub name. Like, it's a legacy, don't change it. And I just said, it's your fault. He looked at me really confused, like, what do you mean it was my fault? I said, well, if you wouldn't have captained Man City and won that cup, 7th spot would have never opened. It had only been 6.
Mad how things work.
Yeah. So it just like really, and he was like, it clicked, and he was like, and it was just really funny how like something so small like that was connected. I mean, everybody asked us why the Royal Dyche. Well, I wanted to keep a little bit the Princess Royal and remember where I'd come from to where I was going.
Evolution sort of thing.
Yeah. And then when we found out that Sean Dyche had the same birthday as Henry VIII, blew my mind, and I thought, that's it.
Poetry in motion.
Yeah. So it was just a case of photoshopping Sean Dyche's face onto Henry VIII for the company that did it as well. So it was so simple because of the way Sean Dyche was sat, and it worked out really well. And it's been it's been a journey since.
When he finally came into the pub and how that made you feel as sort of staff and yourself? When he
got sacked.
Devastation.
Yeah. So
crying for about
Good Friday wasn't a very good Friday.
Staring into space.
Obviously, we'd had a bad season. We had new ownership. And when he got sacked, so I've been trying to get him for a long time. Even when he was at the club, I were in communication with Darren Bentley, and I was like, does he want to call me?
Nice man is Darren.
I was pushing Darren all the time. I think I met Darren at one of the Players Awards, and I actually spoke to Sean, and I got his blessing about the renaming. And I said, look, I'm not here to make money off the name, but I just want to say that if I've got your permission, I'll be doing it because I've said I would. I'm not a woman who goes back on my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll follow it through. And especially with all this media attention, I didn't want to be known as the woman who said, I'm going to do this, but then take a U-turn and not do it. And then obviously meeting Sean, I got the blessing. And then that was it. I never really got any communication after that. So when so I was always trying, but I was always patient because for me, I was still doing things to the pub, making it look nice. And I'm kind of glad when we did the name change that he never came in, because it wasn't a pub that I wanted to showcase. It still needed a refurb. It still needed a lot doing to it. Like the balcony that got done in COVID as well.
That's class as well.
It's just a lot of these things were done obviously after the name change when I bought the pub. So for me, I wasn't pushing him to come, but I still asked the question because I want it to happen. Every time I'd see him, he'd say, "I will come one day. We will sort it." And I was like, "Oh, when are we going to sort it?" And I just tried to keep as patient as I could. And then obviously he got sacked, and I was like, "That's it. He's never going to come. I'm never going to see him again." And I got in touch with someone at the club, and they said straight away, "No, he's gone. He's packed his stuff. He's gone already." So I don't think, obviously, the shock of the news. He must have wanted to go and be with his family. Don't blame him. So I was like, "That's it now. Never going to hear from him again." And then I was at home one night, and if I get random mobile numbers ringing me after a certain time, I don't answer anymore. Sometimes it's someone asking if somebody's in the pub or have I left my heart. And obviously, when you're at home with your family, it's the last thing you want to do is start disrupting family time in the evening. So I think after 5, 6 o'clock, I don't answer unless I know the number. And then this number rang, and then left me a voicemail. So I just said to my wife, Steph, said, "Oh, they left a voicemail. Let's have a listen." And I'm listening to this, and she's like, "I'm on the phone. I'm looking at it like that." So I come off it, put it on loudspeaker, play it again. And it's one of his best friends. Well, he said he was his best friend, and I'd never heard of him before. He's called Dick and Wright.
Oh, no, I've never heard of him myself.
No, so I'd not heard of him, and I was like, I've never heard of this man before. Like, it must be somebody pulling my leg. And I were a bit unsure. So I then ended up giving him a call and messaging back, and it sounded like the real deal. And he said he ran the Swan, which is at the Globe Theatre in London.
Oh, right.
We were actually down London that summer, so Steph said, "Why don't you just drop him a line and we'll see if he's the real deal?" So I did do. I said, like, "Hey, all right, we're actually in London with no plans today." He said, "I'm here, come down, I'll host you for lunch and we'll have a chat." And I was like, "Steph,
surreal."
Right, so we're now going there for lunch. So we went down. He was so welcoming. He's such a lovely man. He took us around. Like, next thing we were shaking hands with his chef in the back, and he's like, "Oh, so and so, she runs a Royal Dyche." And I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, I'd blown away straight away, because I'm like stood there shaking hands with the head chef, having a wander around of all the little areas in the theatre, and he hosted us for lunch, and we kind of like penciled something in. And I was just like, same again, pinching myself, and I thought, this is actually going to happen. And we kept it quiet, because obviously if you announce it, it was straightforward, saying, "Look, don't have loads of people, you need to enjoy it," and he won't enjoy it. And it's kind of like a farewell for him, like it's kind of a bit of closure on that. He was going to bring some coaching staff as well.
Tony Loughlin, Ian Warren was
Well, Ian Warren was actually stuck in Portugal, so I'm not sure if his flight got cancelled or delayed, so he was stuck there. But Steve Storm, Billy Mercer, honestly, the guys were absolutely incredible. So Dick can come as well. Put a free bar on, with like kind of like penciled the day in and like finalised it all. And he said, "Yeah, Sean's really excited." And I kind of like invited close friends and family. Like, a lot of my regulars, they're not Burnley fans. They love the pub, kind of love Burnley, but I wanted people there that would appreciate him being there. So there were a couple of Clarets fans on Twitter that I messaged saying, "Look, if you can get here, like, just come down." And like people that I'd like spoken to, and I knew that I said to him, "Look, you need to come down, but I can't tell you why."
Respectfully as well.
Yeah. So like Paul Grace from Clarets, Paul, and like Pete, and George Poole as well. So I met him at the when we went away to either Athens or Olympiacos.
God, that is George.
Yeah, so it was just having all these different people that would really appreciate that moment. I had anybody that had done work on the pub, so my builders, my joiners, they were all there as well, like close friends. In fact, my granddad, absolutely adore my granddad, so he was there, and it was such like a special day for me, and it couldn't have gone any better. But no, it was a really good day. And then he actually took me and Steph out for food that night. We actually went. They did like all the coaching staff were there as well, so it was like a really nice final farewell meal for him, and it was obviously second best night of my life. I've got to say that, and now I'm married.
Yeah, of course, gotta get that in there.
But no, it'll always be like those memories.
Yeah,
be a special part. And for me, just he was so down to earth, and he was everything that I wanted him to be. He was that and so much more, and incredible man.
When I see him as well, he's such a solid man and salt of the earth, and he like you say, for him to still remember that after all those months of sort of you trying to sort it, but to still remember that and say, yeah, I'll come and do it. But what a man. It just speaks volumes about the time under the club. Obviously, it's great times at the moment and under Vincent as well. And we're building some special things here within this time as well. But for me, I think I speak for many other Burnley fans that particular time period of the 10 years will never sort of be beaten for me.
Yeah, so that's why, obviously, when Vinny came in, obviously we had a blinder of a season. That last year was brilliant. Other than when we got into Europe and going to those European games, last year was one of my favourite seasons. But for me, you can't undo the good work that Sean's done,
No.
and I just feel like he's a huge part of our history. So I'll always honour that. We had a laugh with Vince when I said, "Oh, I'm going to change your name to like the Vinny Royal and
Company's house."
Yeah, the Royal honestly, we had a good laugh, and he even came out and said, "Look, he was after Rotherham, so me and Laura Speak, who's set us up to doing
Laura,
this.
thank you for doing this."
We actually met him after the Rotherham game. Now there were barely anybody there after the Rotherham game. I think it was a Tuesday night. Normally we wait around just to avoid traffic. See some of the players, get some signatures, some photos, and like kill a bit of time. And Rotherham, as soon as they come out the doors, you were there and you were with them. So, and we had a really nice chat with him. He got a picture and he just said, "You can't change that name. It's a legacy. Like, don't care what people say." And I agree with him. And I said, "God," I said, "I'm glad you're saying that." I said, because some fans have come out and they've said, "You should be doing this, you should be doing that." How do you think the current Burnley manager feels when he drives past and sees that name? And like, I'll touch a bit on this as well. Like, I get criticised every now and again on social media if I post, like, take the Royal Dyche flag. I got that made for Europe. For me, I feel like it's good marketing for the pub as well. And I like to showcase what grounds I've been
Loyalty as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I took it to Helmond, and you get the odd fan saying, "Move on, like, get over it, Sean Dyche is gone." And I'm well aware he's gone. Do you know what I mean? I'm on there every week, even though he's gone. I go to the away games, and I love the work that company's doing. But for me, I feel like it's not about moving on. It's about appreciating how you feel as a sports fan in it as well. Yeah. Like, you've got the Jimmy McElroy stand. You've got Harry Potts Way. You've now got the Royal Dyche. And I feel some people just need to accept that it is a part of our history, and I'm fully aware of that. But I'm, like, obviously still one of Vincent Kompany's biggest fans and biggest supporters, and I see the long-term project that he's going to do, and I know that he needs time to grow as a manager. And even though I'm the landlady of the Royal Dyche, I will not support Vincent Kompany and his ideas and his, like, obviously long-term plan any less just because of my loyalty for Sean. Yes. I don't understand why I can't be loyal to our previous manager but still support the current one. That's totally something that I agree with, and hopefully, he will do as well as Sean, as I like to call him, and I have no doubts that he will. Another fantastic thing that recently came up in September was that you won an award for all your great efforts, the best pub to watch sport, I was reading, or something like that. Yeah, so they do. It's called the Great British Pub Awards. I have applied a couple of times, so it's like an application process. It was like filling in a uni application form. Really? Oh yeah, it's a lot. The first time I went for Best Pub Garden, so this was the early days when I'd just done the balcony outside. And I was still the same again, trying to find the identity. So I'd not really focused as much. Like, obviously, we are a sport pub, but I was all about being like having a nice beer garden and supporting like the local music scene. I do a lot, like we have open deck night, jam night. Yeah. So still trying to like find like supporting live music, but finding an identity. So applying for like the best pub garden, and then the year after I went for the best pub to watch sports. We were a finalist in both those categories, but I never won the big award. So for me, even then, being a finalist was incredible. Yeah. Especially when you look at your competition, these are multi-million-pound venues as well, big breweries, and I think I'm up with some big names there. Sticking it to them a bit there. Yeah, so this time I was in two minds whether to apply, because I had a lot going on in my life and there was a lot of other things that needed my attention. Fair enough. So obviously the application process was around the time when I think it was we were going with promotion things. So you know how chaotic last season was. The games came thick and fast, and we had some great weather as well in like May and June. So the pub was full on. So I nearly didn't apply because I had so much on. And I thought, do you know what? No, I'll apply one more time. If I get a finalist, it's great. It's good to showcase. Obviously finalist, and I was blown away. And like a judge came out, so a judge comes out randomly, they don't tell you when you come in, and he turned up, and I were actually putting a new fence up which goes along the side of the canal, which like separates where the grass area is from the canal path and the shipping container, the cobbled road. And he came, and I was stood there in my scruffs with a hammer in my hand, I was like that with Hammer, like, I'll be with a minute. So he came out, and I felt like that was good for him to see that. I highly doubt that he's been to a lot of pubs judging and seeing the owner or the landlady like, doing a bit of graft in that sense. So any of the work carried out here, I have a builder, Timmy Christie, who's absolutely brilliant. One of my biggest supporters here, and he's done so much hard work here. Anything he does, I'll always team up with him. And the guys that I use here, I won't use any other guys. It's the same guys that I use, and that's what's helped the pub grow as well. Using these reliable tradesmen that they really care about this pub as well, and it's something they're proud of. So I feel like them coming out and seeing that was probably like a big thing. And but you've like obviously coming in here today, you don't know where to look.
Superb.
Because there's that much ceilings and.
My favourite shirt is the Ensley shirt up there. I love that.
Yeah, that's one of my favourites. But yeah, I remember being sat there at the awards, and we met two lovely guys as well. One of their venue ended up winning an award. We were just on a table probably similar size to this. It's me and my wife, these two guys did some venue, and we had such a good laugh with these guys. And then when they won theirs, and I thought, well, I'm not going to win mine, but I was really happy for them. And when the presenter said, oh, well, this pub wears the colours on its walls, ceilings, and as soon as she said pool table, I just looked, and I was like, I'd had a few to drink as well because it was a free bar, and I was just like, I've not done a speech, I'm not prepared for this. I was like freaking out, and yeah, as soon as like they said the Royal Dyche, I was blown away.
Superb.
But I was disappointed because when I did go up on stage, I was really disappointed because all they were interested in asking me about was the name change. If I was going to change it to the obviously, am I going to rename it after this company? And I wanted to say so much more, like how grateful I was to win that award and thankful to my staff and my customers. Like I wanted to thank the people around me to help me get there, and I was really thrown off with the name change. I never got the opportunity, but yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I couldn't have done that without like obviously all my loyal regulars and my staff and my family and my wife, of course. So.
Superb, and that's why I wanted to sort of go a bit more in depth with you today, because it's very easy and sort of perhaps lazy sort of journalism to speak solely about the Royal Dyche, because in terms of the name change, like you say, because there's so much more involved to running a pub, you know, the social aspect of it and everything. And this podcast is, like I said, about sort of socially and sort of following your dreams. And I don't even fully know what I want to do, but I'm sort of hoping to increase, you know, visibility and opportunities for people like myself, and also spread awareness of being positive and mental health and things like that. And that's final couple of questions. Have you got any advice for anyone that's following their dreams or doesn't necessarily know what they want to do in life? I'm 24 and I still feel like I'm 12 sometimes, you know what I mean? We're all working up, we're all finding his own way in life, aren't we? And any advice for anyone?
I feel probably the best advice I could give to like any youngsters out there or anybody, just keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes, obviously, very rare, but sometimes things do just fall at your feet. But you've just got to go with it. Like life's a journey. I just feel like you have to embrace it and just go with it. But I feel like with me, I felt like the more things that I was trying to get, build like my education or my knowledge in. So obviously being handy with a drill, learning about accounts and things like that. But I just feel like the more you widen your knowledge, the better you're going to succeed in life, because you never know where you're going to end up. I remember being at school, my teacher criticised me for picking art and said, I really enjoyed art at school. That's why I picked it.
I like PE.
So I feel like the biggest thing for me is doing things that you love as well. So I love sport, and I would not have the knowledge and the background of Burnley Football Club and the love for it the way I do unless I was in sport. So, and picking art, my A-buds look fantastic out front now, and that is like just something as simple like that. I picked art because I loved it. I picked sport because I loved it, and they've actually picking my gut and something that I enjoy and love has actually really worked out for me. So hopefully,
cheers for that, pal. Briefly interrupting by accident, but yeah, I think that's a really positive message. Just keep going, and something will eventually land, because sort of the universe or whatever you want to call it, if it sees that you're trying, or like I said to you off camera, I don't even know if I want to do this full time. But what I do enjoy is speaking to very much real people like yourself, and that's what it's about. And yeah, I really enjoyed it today. And I think a positive way to sign off is, like I said to you off camera, what the secret is to pulling the perfect part, please, Justine.
With a smile.
Yeah.
That is definitely the secret. Pull it with a smile.
Oh, fair enough.
You're messing anything up, they won't realise.
Is there any method to obviously you have to do it fast and slow?
Yeah, so our system, we're on a smart dispenser system. which is like a Heineken smart dispenser. I'll show you a picture after.
Nice one.
So ours is chilled from keg to pump. Very simple. All you do is hold your glass at a 45-degree angle, just pull straight back down, and obviously as the beer starts filled up in the glass, just level it out and then finish. So as long as your equipment is all intact and working, that's as simple as it is. But the biggest thing for me is obviously making sure that your kegs are in date, your beer's moving, your lines are always staying clean, your coolers are working, so your beer's always chilled. So that's one thing I do take pride in, is I want people to come in here, take a drink, put it down and go, wow, that's a good pint.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, and I'm hopefully sure that they've enjoyed this podcast episode today. Thank you very much for joining me, Justine. I don't usually ask this question, but you might have to stop the recording because I can't reach at the moment. So cheers for that, Justine. Really appreciate it. If you click pause and stop recording, then we'll go